Welcome to our deep dive into the fascinating world of ancient beads. You're curious about their history, their value, maybe even their connection to past lives.
We've got some incredible personal anecdotes from his seasoned bead collector and trader who has seen it all.
Yeah, really fascinating stories. So get ready because we're going to answer some intriguing questions.
Like, were beads the first form of money?
How did beads from ancient Rome end up in Africa?
And what about this whole mummy's curse thing? Is there any truth to it?
Our expert mentioned first-hand accounts from a bead collector. What kind of insights do those offer?
These anecdotes give us a really unique perspective on bead trading,
Okay.
particularly from the mid-20th century. It's a world full of bustling markets.
Wow.
The thrill of discovering rare finds
Exciting.
and the constant challenge of separating authentic treasures from clever fakes.
Okay, so let's start with the basics. Is it true that people actually used beads as money?
Imagine this. You're at the grocery store trying to buy, some snacks.
Mm-hmm.
But instead of using cash or a card, you have to barter with a live pig. Okay, that's a tough one.
That's the kind of problem that beads solved. They provided a more practical way to manage wealth,
Right.
especially compared to lugging around livestock or, sacks of grain.
Yeah, okay, I can see how bees would be easier to carry around than a flock of sheep.
Right.
But when did this whole bead as currency thing actually begin?
We're talking way back around 4500 BC.
Wow.
That's when different cultures started using things like shells, stones, wood bone, even naturally hold objects as currency.
Fascinating. It's amazing to think about the evolution of money, from those simple objects to the digital transactions we use today.
Right.
So how did ancient people actually decide which beads were valuable? Was it just the material, or were certain shapes or colors, more desirable?
It varied depending on factors like rarity craftsmanship and even cultural beliefs. Certain materials, like rare gemstones or shells, were naturally more valuable than others. And, of course, the skill required to create intricate designs also played a role. But let's shift gears a bit and talk about how these intricate beads were actually made. I imagine it took immense skill and patience.
You're absolutely right. For centuries, bead-making techniques were meticulously passed down through generations, often from father to son.
A family tradition?
Like a secret society guarding these ancient traditions.
So how did these ancient beads actually travel across continents, in a time before airplanes and cargo ships?
That's where the Silk Road comes in. This network of trade routes connected the East and West for centuries, and beads played a major role in this global exchange. Imagine these tiny beads alongside silk exotic foods and spices, traversing vast distances, shaping economies, influencing cultures.
You mentioned spices were traded alongside beads. What made them so valuable? Was it just for flavor?
Spices were essential in a world without refrigeration. They were used to preserve food, mask unpleasant tastes, and even as aromatics and perfumes. People believed that bad air caused diseases, so they would carry pouches of fragrant herbs and spices called posies to ward off illnesses like the Black Plague.
Black plague posies. That
Yeah.
paints quite a picture. It's incredible how seemingly simple objects like beads and spices offer such a vivid glimpse into the past. But let's delve into something a bit more mysterious. Our source mentions psychometry and the idea of using ancient beads to connect to past lives.
That's where we enter the realm of the metaphysical.
Right.
Psychometry is this idea that objects hold energy and memories. Our source believes that ancient beads can establish a quantum connection to past lives. The thought-provoking concept.
Yeah, it is.
And while there's no scientific evidence to support it, the idea that objects hold energy resonates with a lot of people.
So by touching an ancient bead, you could potentially tap into the energy and memories of its previous owners.
That's the idea. It suggests that our spiritual footprint might extend beyond a single lifetime and across multiple cultures.
It really makes you think about all the hidden stories within these objects.